Good morning, dear students. Our last part of kinetics, that is what we have taken during the offline class. Only the remaining portion is, that is the applications of solubility product and some pH of pH of a solution, and also then buffer solutions and Henderson equation. Okay, so these are the 4 parts remaining. So we can go through all this in this video. Okay. Then determination of the first application, that is the determination of solubilities of sparingly soluble salt. Okay, normally we are writing the sparingly soluble salt as AB, and this AB will be ionizing as A plus plus B minus, and also let the solubility, we can write it as S mole per liter, isn't it? Solubility is equal to S mole per liter. So the concentration of, we had written all these, isn't it? So the concentration of A plus, that is equal to, concentration of B minus, that is equal to S mole per liter. And therefore, how will you calculate the solubility product? KSP, that is equal to concentration of A plus into concentration of B minus, that is equal to S into S, that is equal to S square. So we got a relation connecting solubility product and solubility, that is S is equal to square root of KSP. Okay, so this is the relation connecting solubility and solubility product. I think we had done the problems also related to this relation. Okay, then the second application, that is regarding the solubility, determination of solubility in the presence of a common ion. Determination of solubility in presence of a common ion. That is the that is, here we are discussing the common ion effect. Okay, see, suppose see a solution, if we are taking a sparingly soluble salt. Okay, suppose if we are taking a sparingly soluble salt AB, and suppose and when this sparingly soluble salt, when it has got a ion in common. Okay, and also see here in this case, while we are taking this sparingly soluble salt, suppose water it is present there, and also some H plus ions will be common if in this case. Okay, so what we can do is, we can calculate the solubility of a solution having an ion in common. If both of these are having an ion in common, we can determine the solubility. Okay, so we have to take the concentration of the ion along with the equilibrium concentration here. Okay, suppose this is one salt, suppose, say for example AgCl. Okay, so AgCl, it is a sparingly soluble salt, and also let the solubility of this sparingly soluble salt, let it be X moles per liter. Okay, let the X moles per liter, let the solubility of this sparingly soluble salt and also suppose we are adding another solution to this AgCl, that is, for example, if we are adding KCl to this particular solution, what happens, which is the ion in common? Cl minus is the ion in common in both the case. Okay, Cl minus is the ion in common, and let the concentration of this this KCl, or let the concentration of this Cl minus, let it be Y moles per liter. Okay, so the concentration of AgCl, let it be X moles per liter. So we can say that how will you calculate the solubility product? Solubility product is equal to square root of KSP, isn't it? Solubility is equal to square root of KSP. So first we have to calculate the solubility. So for that, root of KSP. So here the AgCl, how will you determine the solubility? The KSP of this AgCl will be equal to, how will you calculate? That is equal to concentration of Ag plus into concentration of Cl minus, isn't it? So here, you know, this concentration of AgCl, it is determined by some other method, that is, it can be determined by EMF method. Let the concentration of Ag plus, let it be X moles per liter. Okay, since the concentration of AgCl is X, the concentration of Ag plus, let it be X moles per liter. And also let the concentration of Cl minus. So here in the solution, these two, the sparingly soluble salt along with that another electrolyte is also added. Since the solution it is having an ion in common, isn't it? Cl minus is the ion in common, and also the concentration of the Cl minus, let it be Y moles per liter. So we have to write the concentration of Cl minus. Concentration of Cl minus, it will be equal to the sum of X and Y. Okay, so the concentration of Cl minus will be X plus Y. Okay, so here we are adding the concentrations of both the solutions or both the ions Cl minus. Okay, so then you have to write the KSP, that is KSP is equal to concentration of Ag plus into concentration of Cl minus, that is equal to concentration of Ag plus, that is X, into concentration of Cl minus, that is equal to X plus Y. So here we can determine the solubility by this method. So here you have to keep in mind that the common ion, the concentration of the common ion should also be added in this equation. Okay. So this is another important application for a solution having an ion in common. Okay, and also 1 or 2 problems are there in your textbook. You have to do it, and if any doubt arises, you please call me. Then the next is the third one. The third application, predicting the precipitation of a salt. Predicting the precipitation of a salt in a reaction. Predicting the precipitation of a salt in a reaction. See, normally, how will you came to know the precipitation, whether it precipitates or not? See, we had discussed it in your class, isn't it? That is, if the ionic product, if it exceeds the solubility product, or if the ionic product is greater than the solubility product, what happens? Precipitation will take place, isn't it? If the ionic product is greater than solubility product, the precipitation will happen, and if the ionic product, if it is less than the solubility product, no precipitation. Okay, so that is another important application. Then the next one, that is this solubility product. It is used in inorganic qualitative analysis. You are familiar with the inorganic qualitative analysis. In your S3 and S4 you have done the practicals, no? So the fourth one used in inorganic qualitative analysis. Inorganic qualitative analysis. See, in the case of inorganic qualitative analysis, there you will be using this common ion effect also, isn't it? See, in the case of, for example, precipitation of group 2 cations. Precipitation of group 2 cations. Normally, for group 2 cations, see, this group 2 cations will be precipitated as their sulfides, isn't it? They are precipitated as their sulfides, and this group 2 cations, group Cu2 plus, Bi2 plus, etc. will be present in group 2. And also, what are the reagents in group 2? HCl and H2S, isn't it? So HCl will be ionizing as H plus Cl minus, and H2S will be ionizing as 2H plus S2 minus, isn't it? So here, what is the phenomenon working out here? This is common ion effect, isn't it? Which is the ion in common? H plus is the ion in common. So here common ion effect workouts. So what happens is that due to the addition, while we are adding this HCl, or the presence of HCl causes the dissociation of this hydrogen sulfide, isn't it? In both the cases H plus is there. So it will suppress the dissociation of the weak electrolyte. So here the weak electrolyte is H2S, isn't it? Weak electrolyte is H2S. So by the addition of a strong electrolyte HCl, the suppression of the weak electrolyte occurs, or the suppression of H2S occurs. And so what happens? The concentration of S2 minus ions will be decreased, isn't it? The concentration of S2 minus ions will be decreased due to this common ion effect. And also, even at this very low concentration of S2 minus, what happens? The ionic product exceeds the solubility product. Okay, even at this very low concentration of H2S, since common ion effect is acting on here, working out here, what happens? The H plus ion concentration will be increased, and it will suppress the dissociation of H2S, so that only very low concentration of S2 minus or very low amount of ionized S2 minus will be there. Even at this very low concentration of S2 minus, what happens? The ionic product exceeds the solubility product, and as a result, what happens? Group 2 metal sulfides will be precipitated. Group 2 metal sulfides will be precipitated. Okay. So at this very low S2 minus ion concentration, this group 2 metal sulfides will be precipitated. So this is the application of this solubility product and ionic product here. Then the next is you have to go through precipitation of group 4 cations. Group 4 cations. See, group 4 cations will be precipitating all as sulfides, isn't it? But the difference is that group 2 cations will be precipitating in an acid medium, isn't it? In presence of HCl. But the group 4 cations, what are the reagents we are using? Group 4 cations, we are using ammonium chloride, ammonium hydroxide as well as H2S. So ammonium chloride, group 4, and the reagents are ammonium hydroxide and H2S. So ammonium hydroxide and H2S. So this ammonium hydroxide will be ionizing as NH4 plus and OH minus. Then H2S will be dissociating as 2H plus S2 minus. Okay. See here, both of this ammonium hydroxide, it is a very weak electrolyte, or it is a very weak base. Then H2S also, it is also a very weak electrolyte. So both of them will be undergoing very slight ionization, isn't it? Only very slight ionization will be occurring here. Only very slight ionization will be occurring, and also what happens is that so the concentration of this OH minus ions will be very low, isn't it? And even with this very low concentration of OH minus, what happens? The ionic product exceeds the solubility product. Even with the very low concentration of OH minus, what happens? The ionic product exceeds the solubility product. So what happens? Group 4 cations will be precipitated. Okay. Group 4 cations will be precipitated. Sorry, here OH minus as well as S2 minus ion concentrations are very low, isn't it? Both of them are having a very low concentration, S2 minus and this OH minus. Therefore, group 4 cations will be precipitated. Then the next one, that is the purification of sodium chloride. Next important application, purification of sodium chloride. Purification of sodium chloride. See here, this in the purification of sodium chloride means the phenomenon, this process, it is called as salting out. Salting out. The process is called as salting out. Here the principle of solubility product is applied. That means the precipitation of the soluble salts will be done from their saturated solutions. Okay, normally this sodium chloride we will be obtaining it from seawater, isn't it? So this that we have to concentrate it, or that we will be making it as a saturated solution, and then it is precipitated by some process. Okay, so the impure solid the impure sodium chloride, it has to be made pure, and also the process, it is done by this method called as salting out. So here salting out process means the precipitation of the soluble salt. The precipitation of the soluble salt in pure state. the precipitation of the soluble salt in pure state from their saturated solutions. That phenomenon is called as salting out from their saturated solution. So the main process, the purpose is that the purification of this sodium chloride. So the impure sodium chloride obtained from the seawater, it is purified by using this process, by using the salting out, or by using the by applying the principle of solubility product and common ion effect. Okay, suppose a saturated solution of sodium chloride in water. So the equilibrium will be like this: NaCl ionizes to give Na plus and Cl minus. Okay, so to this, see here we are using two phenomena, solubility product as well as the common ion effect. Common ion effect and solubility product, KSP. So here to this solution we are passing HCl gas. So HCl gas, it will be ionizing as H plus and Cl minus. So what happens? The KSP, how will you write the KSP? KSP is equal to concentration of Na plus into concentration of Cl minus. So while we are passing HCl, which is the ion present common, which is common here, Cl minus is the ion in common, isn't it? So the this concentration of Cl minus will be increasing while we are passing HCl to this one, isn't it? The concentration of Cl minus will be increasing. So what happens? The ionic product, that is, this concentration will be exceeding, and also the ionic product exceeds the solubility product, and therefore sodium chloride will precipitate out. Okay, so this is the process of salting out of sodium chloride, or the purification of sodium chloride. So the process is that, the principle behind is that the principle of solubility product, or the application of solubility product and common ion effect. So a saturated solution of sodium chloride is taken, and to that HCl solution is, or HCl gas is passed over it. So Cl minus will be the ion in common, and the KSP is equal to concentration of Na plus into Cl minus. So since the common ion present is Cl minus, the concentration of Cl minus increases, therefore the ionic product exceeds the solubility product, therefore sodium chloride precipitates out. So this is the next important application. See this determination of the applications of the solubility product. It is very, very important. You should not skip. It might be asked in your essay part or in your 4-mark question, or at any part it can be asked. So please don't skip this part, and also it is very easy to study also. Okay, then the next is similar application, that is the salting out of soap. Salting out of soap. Salting out of soap. See here also the principles of solubility product and common ion effect. Both these phenomenon work out. Both solubility product and common ion effect. See here, normally what is soap? Soap is the sodium salt of stearic acid or palmitic acid, isn't it? Sodium salt of stearic acid or palmitic acid. Stearic or palmitic acid. So here we are discussing this stearic acid, that is stearic acid, the formula is C17H35COOH, that is stearic acid. Okay, so the sodium salt means this hydrogen will be replaced by sodium atom. So sodium stearate, sodium salt of stearic acid means it will be sodium stearate. Sodium stearate. So the formula is C17H35COONA. This is soap. C17H35CONA, that is sodium salt of stearic acid. So it will be ionizing as C17H35COO minus plus Na plus. Okay, so how will you write the KSP? KSP will be equal to concentration of C17H35COO minus into concentration of Na plus. So here we are using the process called as salting out. So here we have to add a common ion, isn't it? So for that we will be adding sodium chloride. See, normally while during the preparation of this soap we are adding sodium chloride, isn't it? So what happens when sodium chloride is added? Na plus plus Cl minus. So which will be the ion in common? This Na plus will be the ion in common, isn't it? So what happens? The concentration of Na plus will be increased. So this part, the concentration of this Na plus will be increased, and as a result what happens? The ionic product exceeds the solubility product. Concentration of Na plus increases, therefore ionic product exceeds solubility product. Therefore what happens? Soap precipitates out. Therefore soap precipitates out. Okay, so this is the process similar to the purification of sodium chloride. Okay, salting out of soap. This is another important application of this solubility product. So this is the last one regarding the applications of solubility product. So please don't skip this portion. It is very, very important for your examination point of view. Next is we have to go through the pH of solutions. pH, as you know, I'm just mentioning the pH. You have to read the textbook also. So pH of the solution, as you know, it was the term, this notation, it was introduced by Sorensen. S-O-R-E-N-S-E-N, Sorensen. And also the name was introduced by Sorensen, or the notation. Notation was introduced by Sorensen. And also what is the word meaning of pH? pH means potence hydrogen. Potence hydrogen. Potence hydrogen. Okay, and also the formula for calculating pH is minus log H plus. These all you know. I'm just mentioning. You have to read this also. This pH is equal to minus log H plus. Sometimes it might be asked in your section B part. For a 2-mark question it will be asked. Okay, that is why I am just mentioning this also. I don't want to skip all these. And also there is a definition for pH. pH, it is the negative logarithm of the hydrogen ion concentration. Okay, negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. That is the simple definition for this pH. Or it is the logarithm of the reciprocal of hydrogen ion concentration. Or this pH, it can be written like this, that is pH log to the base 10 1 by H plus. Okay, so it is the logarithm of the reciprocal of hydrogen ion concentration. So these two definitions you have to study. And also for pure water, what is the pH? For pure water, pH is equal to 7, isn't it? pH is equal to 7, that is hydrogen ion concentration, H plus ion concentration will be equal to 10 raised to minus 7 molar. And for acidic solutions, what about acidic solutions? pH will be less than 7, isn't it? pH will be less than 7. And also for basic solutions, pH will be greater than 7. Okay, so this is the pH scale. Then there is a problem. It is done in your textbook also, how to calculate pH. I think that you have studied in your lower classes itself. So please do the problems also. Next is one of the important method to determine the pH. Okay, determination of pH by indicator method. This is also important. Determination of pH by indicator method. Determination of pH by indicator method. See here, this indicator method, normally the indicator method or simply colorimetric method. Indicator method or colorimetric method. This is the simplest method for determining the pH. Okay, indicator method or colorimetric method, it is the simplest method for determining the pH. Normally a definite amount of universal indicator. Universal indicator means it is a mixture of certain dye. Okay, universal indicator. For this determination we are using the universal indicator, and this universal indicator, it is a mixture of certain dyes. Mixture of certain dyes, and also this universal indicator, it will be ranging from 0 to 14, and also it is added to a solution contained in a glass tube. And this universal indicator, so up to 0 to 14, so many colors are there in that indicator. So depending upon the pH, the corresponding color will be developed, or a particular color will be developed, and we have to cross check it with the indicator. Okay. So for that, this universal indicator, it is added to, suppose we have got a solution, we have to determine the pH of this particular solution. So we will be adding this universal indicator to this particular solution. Okay, so what happens, the color change will be occurring here. So this color, it will be compared with the indicator which is there. This indicator, it will be having a range of colors, and we have to compare this color with this one. Okay, so which one is matching, that we can, by that color we can determine the pH of that particular solution. So if a complete match is there, we can know the pH of the unknown solution. Okay, so it's just a simple method, just adding the universal indicator, comparing the color with the universal indicator. Okay, with a series of colors. So this is the determination of pH by indicator method. Then the next one, that is the buffer solutions. Buffer solutions. See, buffer solution means it is a solution which maintains its pH almost a constant value even on the addition of a small amount of acid or base. Even on the addition of a small amount of acid or base. So that is what we call as a buffer solution. So a buffer solution means it will be maintaining a constant pH even after the addition of a small amount of acid or base. Okay, that means simply we can say that a buffer solution, it will be resisting a change in pH. Resist a change in pH. That means if some amount of acid or base is added to that buffer solution, the pH will not be changing. And also two types of buffer solution, and this phenomenon of the ability of the solution to resist the change in pH, that phenomenon, it is called as the buffer action. You might have heard of buffer action, isn't it? So buffer solutions will be like that. It can maintain a constant pH even on the addition of a small amount, only a very small amount of acid or base it can resist. Okay, the change in pH can be resisted by that particular solution. So this phenomenon, it is called as the buffer action. Next is two types of buffer solutions are there. Okay, two types of buffer. The first one, that is the acidic buffer, and the second one, that is the basic buffer. Okay, acidic buffer and basic buffer. Acidic buffer means it is a mixture of weak acid. I am writing it WA. Okay, it's a mixture of weak acid and its salt of a strong base plus salt of a strong base. Weak acid plus salt of a strong base, while basic buffer means it is a weak base. Okay, it's a weak base plus salt of strong acid. It's a weak base plus salt of strong acid. So acidic buffer, for example, weak acid, that means let it be acetic acid. Okay, plus salt of a strong base, that means strong base is sodium hydroxide. Salt of sodium hydroxide means it can be sodium acetate, CH3COONA. So this is one example for an acidic buffer. Hope you are clear. Weak acid plus salt of a strong base. This is the salt of a strong base. Then the next is another example for a example for basic buffers. That means basic buffers, or we can say that alkaline buffers. Okay, basic or alkaline buffers. And also here example, ammonium hydroxide, weak base plus salt of a strong acid. Strong acid is HCl, then salt of strong acid, let it be ammonium chloride. Okay, so these are the two examples for acidic and basic buffers. Hope you are clear with this acidic and basic buffer. Then you have to study the buffer action of a weak acid and its salt. So first we have to go through the buffer action of a of an acidic buffer. Okay, buffer action of an acidic buffer. Buffer action of an acidic buffer. So here acidic buffer example is CH3COOH plus CH3COONA, isn't it? This is the acidic buffer. So normally what about this acetic acid? The degree of ionization of acetic acid, it is very low, isn't it? Degree of dissociation of acetic acid of CH3COOH is very low. And also in solutions it will be almostly in the completely unionized form. And again this CH3CONA, what about CH3CONA? It will be ionizing to give CH3COO minus plus Na plus, isn't it? It will be ionizing like this in solution. Okay, so buffer solution means to this solution we are adding so this is a buffer solution, and to this solution we are adding an HCl, a small amount of HCl or a small amount of NaOH, isn't it? There comes the buffer action of that particular solution. This is the buffer solution. To this we can add HCl or NaOH, and also a small amount of HCl or a small amount of NaOH, and therefore while adding these two any of these two solution, what happens? The solution, this buffer solution, will be maintaining a constant pH. That is the definition for a buffer action, isn't it? So to this solution, the first case, to this solution we are adding HCl. Okay, so what happens is that while we are adding HCl, it will be ionizing to H plus and Cl minus. So what happens is that this H plus will be abstracted by this CH3COO minus. Okay, this H plus, the added from the solution, from the added HCl, the H plus will be ionized, and this H plus will be abstracted by this CH3COO minus, and therefore what happens? This CH3COO minus will be will be taking the H plus, and so the solution will be again having this undissociated acetic acid. Okay, so we can say that there is no increase in the H plus ion concentration, isn't it? The ionized H plus will be taken by the CH3COO minus. So what happens? There is no increase in the concentration of H plus, and therefore we can say that the pH remains constant. Hope you are clear. So that is the procedure that is the buffer action. So this is the buffer solution, CH3COOH plus sodium acetate. So buffer action means if we are adding HCl or NaOH to this solution, a very small amount of HCl or NaOH to this particular solution, the pH will not be changing, or the pH remains constant. So first of all we have to consider the case of acetic acid. It is a very weak acid. It is in the unionized form, or the ionization will be very low. And again, while considering the case of sodium acetate, it will be ionizing as CO minus and Na plus. To this solution we are adding a very small amount of HCl, and it will be completely ionized to give H plus and Cl minus. The so formed or the so ionized H plus ions will be abstracted by the CH3COO minus. So the solution will not be having any H plus ion concentration, or there is no increase in the H plus ion concentration. Therefore the pH will remain constant. So this is the buffer action of an acidic buffer. Then suppose if we are adding NaOH, small amount of NaOH, that is the second part, that is acetic acid, second part. So acetic acid plus sodium acetate, CH3COONA. To this we are adding NaOH. That is the second case. So again what happens is that NaOH will be ionizing as Na plus and OH minus. Na plus and OH minus. Again the solution will be having OH minus ions, isn't it? And also the CH3COONA, it will be ionizing as CH3COO minus plus Na plus. So what happens is that this OH minus the solution will be having CH3COO minus, isn't it? And this and also unionized acetic acid will be there, isn't it? CH3COOH will also be there in that particular solution. So this OH minus will be abstracted by this acetic acid. Okay, the OH minus will be abstracted by this unionized acetic acid. That means it will be ionized very feebly, isn't it? So CH3CO minus plus H plus, very low concentration of H plus will be there, and this H plus and this OH minus will be combining together, or this acetic acid will be abstracting this OH minus. Okay, this acetic acid will be abstracting this OH minus to form CH3CO minus plus H2O. Okay, here also it will be like this. This OH minus will be abstracting by this H plus. So this the concentration of OH minus will not be increased, or the concentration of OH minus will remain constant, and therefore the pH will be remaining a constant. Okay, so this is the buffer action here. So when a strong base is added to this buffer solution, what happens? The OH minus furnished by the strong base. The OH minus, it is from the strong base, isn't it? This OH minus, it is removed by this acetic acid. Okay, it will be combining like this, CH3CO minus plus H2O. It will be removing as water. So this is the first case, that is the buffer action of an acidic buffer. Then buffer action of a basic buffer. Buffer action of a basic buffer. So basic buffer example we had seen ammonium hydroxide plus ammonium chloride. Ammonium hydroxide plus ammonium chloride. So again the dissociation of ammonium hydroxide will be very low, isn't it? Dissociation will be very low, not discussion, it is dissociation, sorry. The dissociation, it is very low, and also it almost, this ammonium hydroxide almost remains undissociated. Again the case of ammonium chloride, it will be ionizing as NH4 plus Cl minus. Okay, so to this solution, again the first so to this buffer solution we are adding two cases. We are adding HCl, and again we are adding NaOH. Okay, two cases are there. So first case, if we are adding HCl to that buffer solution, what happens is that see this while we are adding HCl, it will be ionizing to give H plus and Cl minus. So what happens is that the undissociated ammonium hydroxide present in this particular solution, okay, the undissociated ammonium hydroxide, it will be abstracting this proton. Okay, it will be abstracting this proton to form NH4 plus, not a reverse reaction, it's a forward reaction. So it becomes NH4 plus H2O. Okay, so what happens? The added HCl or the added H plus ions will be easily removed as water. So what happens? The pH of the solution remains a constant. Okay, H plus ion concentration remains a constant. So thereby pH of the solution also remains a constant. Okay, so this is the first case if we are adding HCl. Then the second case, buffer action of a basic buffer if we are adding NaOH. Okay. So again, if we are adding a strong base to this particular solution, it will be ionizing as Na plus and OH minus. So again, what happens is that this OH minus will be combining with the NH4 plus ions, isn't it? That is the solution, it is having ammonium chloride. It will be ionizing as NH4 plus Cl minus. So what happens is that this OH minus, the OH minus, which is furnished by the strong base, it will be combining with this NH4 plus. Okay, so it will be combining with NH4 plus to form NH4OH. So again, what happens? The concentration of OH minus remains a constant, isn't it? Concentration of OH minus remains a constant. Therefore, we can say that the pH of the solution also remains a constant. That is, the OH minus concentration is not changing. Hope you are clear with these two types, that is acidic buffer as well as basic buffer. Okay. Then the last part of this physical chemistry 3, that is the Henderson equation. Okay, salt hydrolysis we already discussed in offline. So next is Henderson equation. It is very important also, this Henderson equation. Henderson equation. Henderson equation. So consider a buffer solution containing, consider an acidic buffer solution. Okay, acidic buffer solution means it will be having a weak acid plus salt of a strong base. Salt of a strong base. So this is an acidic buffer solution. Acidic buffer solution. So let the weak acid, let it be ionizing like that. HA, let the weak acid, let it be HA, and it will be ionizing as H plus A minus. So you have to write the dissociation constant of this acid. Ka is equal to concentration of H plus into concentration of A minus divided by concentration of HA. Okay. Then from this you have to find out the concentration of H plus. So what is H plus ion concentration? That is will be equal to Ka into concentration of HA divided by concentration of A minus. Okay. Then you have to take the logarithm of this particular equation. So log H plus. We had done this type in salt hydrolysis, isn't it? So log H plus, that is equal to log Ka plus log HA, log concentration of HA minus log A minus, isn't it? Minus log A minus. Then you have to put it as negative logarithms. Okay, so this becomes minus log H plus, that is equal to minus log Ka minus log HA, then plus log A minus. Okay, plus log A minus. That is equal to minus log H plus means it is pH, that is equal to minus log Ka. Minus log Ka means it is pKa. Then here minus log HA plus log A minus, isn't it? So how will you write? That is minus log HA means it will be plus pKa, isn't it? Sorry, plus, we can write it like this, pKa log HA divided by A minus. You have to write it in this form. Okay. So here what will be the sign? Minus, isn't it? Minus log HA. So while this coming to the denominator, it becomes A minus, isn't it? So pH is equal to, we will be having this formula, pH is equal to pKa minus log HA by A minus. pH is equal to pKa minus log HA divided by A minus. Okay, so again this concentration of A minus, this can be considered as the concentration of the salt. So let it be the salt concentration, and let this HA be the concentration of the acid. Okay, so you have to substitute these two terms by these two. So therefore we can write it as pH is equal to pKa minus log concentration of acid by concentration of salt. Log concentration of acid divided by concentration of salt. Or again, if we are reversing the sign, it will be like this, pH is equal to pKa plus log the reverse. Okay, log concentration of salt divided by concentration of acid. Okay, so this is the Henderson equation. This equation, it is called as the Henderson equation. It is very important. Or other name is, it is can be simply said as Henderson equation, or it is Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. H-A-S-S-E-L-B-A-L-C-H. Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, or simply Henderson equation. Henderson equation. This is very, very important. You have to study this. And also, so this is the Henderson equation for an acidic buffer. Similarly, Henderson equation for a basic buffer. Henderson equation for a basic buffer. Henderson equation for a basic buffer. So basic buffer means normally we will be representing it as POH, isn't it? POH is equal to PKB plus, so instead of pH we will be writing POH. Here it will be PKB instead of pKa plus log concentration of salt divided by concentration of base. Okay, log concentration of salt divided by concentration of base. So this is the Henderson equation for acidic and basic buffers. Both of these are important, and you have to do the worked out problems given in your textbook. You just write the see one example. pH is equal to pKa plus log salt by acid. See a solution of 0.1 normal acetic acid and 0.1 normal in sodium acetate. Calculate the pH of the solution. So this is acetic acid and sodium acetate. So normally you know it is an acidic buffer. Then pH is equal to pKa plus log salt by acid. The other one is POH is equal to pKb plus log salt by base, isn't it? Then you have to write the values also. pH is equal to pKa plus log. Concentrations are given, that is 0.1 divided by 0.1. Okay, that is equal to pKa. So from that you can calculate. You know Ka value. From that pKa can be calculated. So taking negative logarithms. No need of all this. You can do it by your calculator itself. Okay. So you do this problem also. It will be asked here. Okay. Simply a simple substitution of this Ka values. Okay. So all these problems you please work out. If you are having any doubt, you please call me. Okay. Then the next one more topic, that is the buffer index. The last part, buffer index. It's also very important. Buffer index. See, buffer index, it is denoted by the letter beta. Okay, and this buffer index, it is defined as the number of moles of acid or base, added per liter of the buffer, solution to cause 1 unit change in pH. So this is the definition for buffer index. It is the number of moles of acid or base added to 1 liter of the buffer solution to cause 1 unit change in pH. And also there is a formula for calculating buffer index. Buffer index beta is equal to dB divided by dpH. That is a change in B value divided by a change in pH. Then again dB means the increment of a strong base. Added to a buffer solution. Increment of a strong base added to a buffer solution. That is what dB means. Okay. And again, what about dpH? Again, dpH means it is the increment in pH of the solution. While we are adding a such an amount of a strong base to that particular solution. Okay. And also usually beta value, that is this buffer index, beta will always be a positive quantity. Then so this is the case of a strong base added to a buffer solution. So then coming to the case of a strong acid to a buffer solution, what happens is that if we are adding a strong acid to a buffer solution, what happens is that it will be a negative increment to base. Okay, if we are adding a strong acid to a buffer, it means the change will be a negative value. Okay, so that means minus dB will be there, isn't it? Minus dB, that is the negative increment of base, and also it will be minus dpH. It will be minus dB and minus dpH. So what happens? Beta will be a positive. Okay, beta will be a positive quantity. So larger the amount of acid or base required to produce a unit change in pH. See, if this dB value, if it is very high, what happens? The buffer index will also be very high. Okay, or greater the buffer action or greater the buffer capacity. Larger the amount of acid or base added to a particular solution or a buffer solution, what happens? The buffer index will be greater. Larger the amount of acid or base added to buffer solution to produce a change in pH, what happens? Greater will be the buffer index, greater will be the beta value. Okay, next is the applications of this buffer solution. Applications of buffer solution. Normally this buffer solution, it is used in analytical chemistry and lab work. Analytical chemistry and lab work, and also it is used in biochemical reactions. This biochemical reactions, it needs maintenance of pH. Biochemical reactions, it is used in biochemical reactions for determining the for keeping the pH values constant. Okay, normally human blood, the pH of human blood is 7.4. I think in some of your examination, this pH of human blood, it is asked in the section A part. Okay, so the pH of human blood is 7.4. Okay, then another important use is in the field of fermentation process. Also this maintenance constancy of pH is also used. Fermentation process also this pH or buffer solution will be used here. In the fermentation, normally the pH will be around 6, so there also this pH is kept constant by using this buffer solution. And also for the productivity of crops, and that is in agriculture also, this pH control of the soil is essential, so there also buffer solution is used. That is to control the pH of the soil. Okay, to control the pH of the soil. And also if it is an acidic soil, then limestone is added. You might have seen, isn't it? And if it is an alkaline soil, then sulfur, it is added to that particular soil. So these are some of the important applications of this buffer. This also you have to read. Okay, sometimes it might be asked. So thus our physical chemistry 3 portions are over. Then you have to study all these portions very thoroughly. I don't know from which portion questions will be asked. Normally I will be saying the important questions also while I am teaching you. So please do study these portions very well. And also it is very easy also, this physical chemistry 3, it is very easy to study. So please don't skip all these portions. Study well, don't waste your time. Thank you.